My beloved brothers and sisters, today I want to speak to you about something many people ignore, but it affects the spirituality of your home more than you realize. There are foods, habits, and ways of eating that open the doors for Shaytan. Sometimes you feel anger in the house, no barakah, everyone fighting, no peace, no mercy, no love, yet you don't understand where this darkness is coming from. Islam teaches us that certain foods, certain ways of eating, and certain carelessness can spiritually harm you and your family. So listen carefully. Today I will share 6 foods you must stop eating and 7 powerful lessons explaining why they attract Shaytan and how to protect your home. May Allah protect us all. 1. Eating haram food weakens your soul and strengthens Shaytan. When a person allows haram food into their home, they are not just making a small mistake, they are opening a spiritual door that invites Shaytan inside. It begins quietly. You may not notice anything at first, but the moment something forbidden enters your kitchen, your dining table, or your body, the spiritual protection around your home becomes weaker. Islamic scholars explain that haram food does not only affect your stomach, it affects your heart, your mind, your emotions, your behavior, and even the atmosphere of your home. When haram enters your body, it becomes part of your blood, your flesh, your energy, and your thoughts. That is why the Prophet ﷺ warned us that every flesh nourished by haram, the fire is more worthy of it. Meaning, when you consume what Allah has forbidden, you are not just harming your worldly life, you are harming your hereafter. Haram food includes many things. Food bought with stolen money, food purchased with income from lying or cheating, money earned through interest riba, intoxicating substances, alcohol-based desserts or snacks, impermissible meat, doubtful ingredients, or even something you know someone was cheated or harmed for. The moment such food enters your body, your spiritual vision becomes cloudy, your heart loses its shine, and your connection with Allah feels distant. You will notice that your dua suddenly feels weak, your salah becomes harder, concentration disappears, and you feel lazy in acts of worship. This is not just psychology, it is spiritual reality. When you feed your body with darkness, darkness will enter your life. Shaitan becomes stronger whenever a believer consumes haram. He whispers more easily. He influences your emotions more quickly. He pushes anger, jealousy, sadness, anxiety, and confusion into your heart without resistance. You will see this immediately in homes where haram is consumed. Arguments increase, peace disappears, people get irritated over small things, trust breaks, blessings vanish, and the home starts feeling heavy without any clear reason. Many families complain, we don't understand why we always fight. Why is there no mercy in our house? Why do we feel depressed for no reason? But they rarely look at what they are eating and how their food was earned. Haram food is like spiritual poison. It does not kill your body, but it weakens your soul. It blocks your prayers. It hardens your heart. It takes away the sweetness of worship. It invites Shaitan to sit comfortably in your home. He becomes confident because he knows the believer who eats haram is no longer protected with the same strength. Even if that person prays, their worship feels heavy because the foundation inside them is contaminated. On the other hand, when the food is halal, clean, and earned righteously, you will feel peace in your heart even before you take the first bite. Halal food brings light into your home. It brings barakah into your wealth. It brings mercy into your relationships. It makes the hearts of your family members softer and kinder. You will see fewer arguments, less negativity, and more understanding. Halal food strengthens your dua, strengthens your iman, and strengthens your spiritual shield. So if you truly want your home to be protected, your mind to be peaceful, your heart to feel calm, and your family to experience mercy, then start from the most important place, your plate. What you eat affects who you become. What you feed your family shapes their character and their behavior. Do not allow haram or doubtful things to steal the light of your home. Protect what enters your kitchen, and you will protect everything inside your home, including your heart. 2. Consuming alcohol or alcohol-based foods invites filth into the home. Alcohol is not just a drink, it is a spiritual contaminant. It is something that Allah has declared impure, harmful, and destructive. When alcohol enters a home in any form, whether in a bottle, in a dessert, in chocolate, in a sauce, or even in a tiny flavoring ingredient, it brings with it a type of spiritual darkness that affects the entire environment of the house. Many people think alcohol only becomes a sin when you drink a full glass. But Islam teaches us that anything containing alcohol, even in small amounts, affects the purity of your body and the purity of your surroundings. The Prophet ﷺ told us clearly that alcohol is the mother of all evil, meaning it opens the door to sins, bad habits, weak faith, bad decisions, and spiritual destruction. Today, alcohol is hidden in so many foods that people unknowingly consume it. Fancy chocolates, expensive ice creams, bakery items, sauces in restaurants, and many packaged foods contain some form of alcohol. Some people say it's only a small amount, or it's just for taste, or it doesn't make you drunk. But the issue is not about getting drunk, the issue is about purity. When something impure enters your body, your heart becomes unsettled. Your soul becomes cloudy. Your connection with Allah weakens. Even if the quantity does not intoxicate your body, it intoxicates your spirituality. The nur in your heart dims. Your ability to focus in salah decreases. And your calmness slowly disappears. A home that stores alcohol or consumes alcohol-based foods will notice subtle changes. You will see more arguments, more impatience, more disrespect, and more emotional instability. There is a heaviness in the air that no one can explain, but everyone can feel. Children become more restless, adults become more irritated, and the home loses the feeling of sakoon, peace. This is because Allah has removed His blessing from anything connected to alcohol. Shaytan uses this impurity to enter, whisper, and create chaos. He becomes stronger in a home where alcohol is present because he knows that the spiritual shield has been compromised. Even worse, alcohol-based foods normalize a prohibited substance. Someone might say it's just a dessert, but once the heart becomes comfortable with a little bit of haram, the barrier between halal and haram becomes weak. Soon the person begins to slip into other doubtful things and their iman becomes unstable. Haram grows slowly and it begins with tiny steps. This is why Allah teaches us to stay far away from alcohol, not just avoid the major forms. Even a drop is harmful because it corrupts purity. And purity is the foundation of every believer's relationship with Allah. When you remove alcohol from your life completely, you will notice an immediate difference. Your mind becomes clearer, your heart becomes lighter, your home feels calmer, your worship becomes deeper, your dua feels stronger. This is because you are removing a blockage that was silently damaging your soul. Allah replaces impurity with blessing, confusion with clarity, heaviness with peace, and darkness with light. If you want your home to be filled with barakah, mercy, and protection, then stay far away from alcohol in all forms, drinks, desserts, flavors, sauces, and anything containing it. What you eat becomes part of you. Purify what goes into your body. And Allah will purify what comes out of your life, your actions, your words, your decisions, and your home. When alcohol leaves your table, Shaytan leaves with it. 3. Wasting food encourages Shaytan to live in your home. Wasting food is not a small habit or a simple mistake. In Islam, wasting food is a serious spiritual problem because food is a blessing directly given by Allah. Every grain, every drop, every bite comes from the mercy of Allah. When a person throws food away carelessly, cooks more than necessary, lets food spoil in the fridge, or buys more than they need just to show off, they are disrespecting the blessings of Allah. And whenever blessings are disrespected, Shaitan finds an opening to enter the home. Allah Himself tells us in the Quran that the wasteful people are brothers of the devils, meaning that wasting food aligns your behavior with Shaitan, not with a believer's gratitude. Shaitan loves waste. He loves exaggeration. He loves when people follow their desires instead of discipline. When you waste food, you are doing exactly what Shaitan wants. Showing carelessness toward blessings, ignoring gratitude, and behaving as if you deserve everything without appreciating anything. A home where food is wasted will slowly lose barakah. You may have money, but it disappears quickly. You may have food, but it never feels satisfying. You may have a fridge full of items, but the family still feels unhappy and restless. This is because waste removes blessings silently. You don't see it disappearing with your eyes, but you feel it disappearing from your life. Many families complain about constant arguments, stubbornness among children, lack of respect, laziness, sadness, and a heavy environment inside the home, they think it is because of stress, money, problems, or bad luck. But sometimes the real reason is something much simpler and more dangerous. They are disrespecting Allah's blessings every day. When people throw food into the trash while others in the world are starving, the mercy of Allah becomes distant. When Allah's mercy leaves the house, Shaytan enters with his negativity, bad whispers, anger, and emotional imbalance. Even the small crumbs have value. The Prophet ﷺ would pick up a fallen grain of food, clean it, and eat it because he taught us that food is a blessing, not something to be wasted or stepped on. Today we see people throwing away entire plates, full meals, perfectly good fruits, bakery items, and leftovers, thinking it doesn't matter. But it does matter. Every time you waste food, you are throwing away not just nourishment, but also barakah. Food is not simply something that fills your stomach, it fills your home with blessings when treated with respect. Wasting food also affects your heart. It makes you careless in other parts of life. It makes you blind to the struggles of others. It kills empathy. It makes you arrogant. When you consistently waste food, you are training your heart to become hard. Hard hearts are where Shaytan feels comfortable. Soft hearts, grateful hearts, conscious hearts are where he feels weak. That is why Islam teaches us that gratitude is not only in saying Alhamdulillah, but also in how we treat the blessings Allah gives us. If you stop wasting food, you will see immediate changes in your home. The environment becomes calmer, arguments decrease, wealth stretches further, food lasts longer, your mind feels lighter, your heart becomes softer, the home becomes brighter. Barakah flows in places where you didn't expect it. This is Allah rewarding you for honoring His blessings. To protect your home from Shaytan, start with this simple habit. Respect your food. Cook wisely, buy carefully, store properly, share generously, and give leftovers to those in need. When you honor Allah's blessings, Allah honors your home. When food is treated with gratitude, Shaitan cannot sit at your table. 4. Eating without saying Bismillah opens the door to invisible harm. There is a powerful secret of protection that many Muslims forget. Even though the Prophet ﷺ taught it with so much clarity, when you begin your meal without saying Bismillah, you are inviting Shaitan to sit at the table with you. This is not a metaphor or a symbolic teaching. It is a spiritual reality. The Prophet ﷺ said that if you enter your home without saying Bismillah, Shaitan says there is a place for us to stay. And if you begin eating without Bismillah, Shaitan says there is food for us here. This means he becomes a part of your meal, sharing your blessings and weakening your protection. When you forget to say Bismillah, the food may nourish your body, but it does not nourish your soul. The meal fills your stomach, but it does not bring barakah. You receive calories, but not peace. You feel full, but not content. Many people do not realize how spiritually damaging this is. When Shaitan eats with you, his whispers become stronger, your emotions become unstable, and your heart becomes distant from Allah. You might suddenly feel irritated, lazy, hopeless, or disconnected without understanding why. But the cause may simply be that you ate without remembering Allah. Eating is not just a physical act, it is a spiritual moment. During that moment, your heart is open, your mind is relaxed, and your body is receiving energy. If that moment begins with the remembrance of Allah, that energy becomes pure, it becomes light, it becomes protection. But if it begins with forgetfulness, the same energy becomes contaminated. Shaitan uses that moment to slip into your thoughts, weaken your discipline, and influence your mood for the rest of the day. Many households complain that after eating together, arguments break out, children become cranky, adults become moody, and stress increases. They think it is food intolerance or tiredness, but often the reason is that they ate without Bismillah. A table where Allah is remembered becomes a table of peace. A table where Allah is forgotten becomes a place where Shaitan feels comfortable. Saying Bismillah also teaches you gratitude. It reminds you that the food came from Allah, not from your effort alone. You acknowledge His mercy before enjoying His blessing. This simple act brings spiritual protection that you cannot see with the eyes but will feel with the heart. It protects you from jealousy, anger, bad energy, and whispered thoughts. It increases barakah in the meal so that even a small portion becomes satisfying. It keeps shaitan away from your table, away from your heart, and away from your home. Parents should teach their children to say Bismillah from a young age because it builds a habit of remembrance that will protect them for life. A child who eats with Bismillah grows up with a heart that remembers Allah naturally. A family that eats with Bismillah becomes a family that experiences harmony, love, mercy, and spiritual safety. If you want your meals to be a source of blessing rather than a door for harm, then never take your first bite before saying Bismillah. It only takes a second, but it carries the power of a lifetime. With Bismillah, the food becomes light. Without it, the food becomes vulnerable. Protect your table, protect your heart, and protect your home by remembering Allah before every meal. 5. Eating food that contains other people's rights brings darkness into your life. There is a powerful truth in Islam that many people forget. Sometimes the food itself is halal, but the way it was obtained makes it spiritually dangerous. In Islam, purity is not only about ingredients, it is also about the honesty behind them. You can be eating rice, bread, meat, fruit, or anything perfectly halal, yet the moment it is purchased with money earned through lying, cheating, interest, riba, deception, fraud, gambling, or hurting another person, that food becomes harmful to your soul. The blessing inside it disappears, the light inside it fades. Even though your stomach becomes full, your heart becomes empty. When a person consumes food bought with impure earnings, they are feeding their body something that carries the pain, the injustice, and the harm done to someone else. That food may look fresh, delicious, and healthy, but it carries the weight of a sin. And whenever sin enters your body, Shaytan gains strength over you. He finds it easier to whisper, easier to confuse, easier to disturb, easier to darken your heart. This is why so many people feel spiritually disconnected even though they pray, read Quran, and make dua, because something impure has become part of their body without them realizing it. A home that runs on haram income will always struggle with peace. You may earn a lot of money, your salary might be big, and your fridge might be full, but your heart will feel empty. Your family will constantly argue, your mind will be restless, and your life will always feel like it is missing something. You will find yourself stressed for no reason, worried about everything, unable to enjoy the things you have, and constantly feeling like barakah is slipping through your fingers. This is not bad luck, it is the spiritual consequence of impurity. Many people say, I don't know why I feel depressed. Why is my home always tense? Why does my money disappear so quickly? Why is nothing going right for me? Yet they never examine the purity of the income being used to feed the family. If money is earned through dishonest means, it will never bring peace. If money is taken from someone's rights, it will never bring happiness. If someone was oppressed, cheated, or tricked for that money to reach your hand, then that food becomes spiritually poisoned, and Shaytan thrives in that poison. Food purchased with halal income is different. It brings barakah that you can feel. Even a simple meal like da'al roti or a small piece of bread brings more satisfaction than a table full of luxury bought with haram wealth. You feel emotionally lighter, your family feels calmer, your children become more respectful, your home feels brighter, and your worship becomes easier. Halal income may not always be large, but it is full of blessing. 1 rupee of halal is worth more than 1,000 rupees of haram. Haram income, on the other hand, always brings spiritual destruction. That money looks big, but it never benefits you. It destroys your sleep. It brings shame. It attracts stress. It makes your heart hard. It makes your children disobedient. It removes mercy from the home. You may enjoy luxury for a short time, but that luxury becomes a punishment. The food tastes good, but it leaves heaviness in the soul. The meal fills your stomach, but it empties your peace. A believer must understand that Allah does not look at how much you earn, He looks at how you earn it. When you feed your family from halal income, you are giving them more than food. You are giving them purity, sincerity, honesty, and light. You are building a home where angels feel comfortable and Shaytan feels weak. You are raising children whose hearts will grow with softness, whose character will have integrity, and whose minds will stay clean. You are shaping their future with the ingredients of righteousness. If you want a home filled with peace, if you want children who grow with manners, if you want your dua to be accepted, if you want barakah in your money, if you want your worship to feel sweet and not heavy, then purify your income. Do not cheat, do not harm, do not steal, do not lie, and do not take what belongs to someone else. Ask Allah to bless your earnings, even if small, because halal that is small grows. Haram that is big destroys. The food you eat becomes part of your body, part of your heart, and part of your soul. Feed yourself with purity and you will walk in the light. Feed yourself with impurity and darkness will follow you. Protect your income and you will automatically protect your home from shaitan. 6. Eating to excess. Make shaitan your companion. Islam teaches us balance in everything, especially in the way we eat. When a person constantly overfills their stomach, eats beyond their need, eats until they cannot breathe comfortably, or makes overeating a daily habit, they unknowingly weaken their spirit and strengthen shaitan. The Prophet ﷺ told us that the worst container a human being can fill is their stomach. And he advised us to divide it into 3 parts. One for food, one for water, and one for breath. This is not only a health instruction, it is a spiritual shield. When the stomach becomes overloaded, the heart becomes heavy, the mind becomes dull, and the soul becomes weak. Shaitan loves a believer whose body is full but whose spirit is empty, because such a person becomes easy to influence. Overeating affects a person in ways they do not even realize. After overeating, you feel lazy, sleepy, and unfocused. You cannot think clearly. Your emotions become unstable. You feel irritated for no reason. Your motivation disappears. Your worship feels difficult. Fajr becomes almost impossible. Your salah loses its strength. Reading Quran feels like a burden. Even making dua feels heavy. This is not random, it is the spiritual consequence of feeding the body too much and feeding the soul too little. Shaitan uses that moment of physical weakness to increase his whispers, making you feel like you have no energy for anything beneficial. When a person eats more than they need, they strengthen the desires inside them. These desires then begin to control their life. When a person follows their stomach blindly, they eventually begin to follow other desires without resistance. Desires for sin, desires for laziness, desires for entertainment, desires for wasting time, desires for things that slowly damage the soul. Overeating is not just about food, it is a doorway to losing discipline in every part of life. Shaitan knows this well, so he encourages people to eat excessively because a full stomach leads to a weak heart. And a weak heart falls into sin easily. Many people wonder why they feel disconnected from Allah even though they pray and fast. They wonder why their heart feels cold, why their mind feels clouded, or why their iman does not feel strong. They never realize that one of the biggest reasons is the habit of overeating.